So today I've got Jared on the line. We actually were roommates for the Squat Up Summit. When was that? March? Was it
Yeah,
March?
yeah, it was the end of March. I saw your post on I think it was in Squat Up Summit saying you're looking for a roommate
Yeah.
and those hotels aren't cheap, that's for sure.
No, no, they were not. And it was plenty packed there. But I know since the event there, we've not spoken as much as I would have hoped, but I know you've been pretty busy from what I've seen off of just Pace's podcast and all that stuff. I wanted to ask a few questions about that and what you've been focusing on the last couple months here.
Yeah, for sure, man. I know that like where I kind of entered Squat Up to, the direction that I took is kind of a complete 180 from when we met. So
Yeah, I remember you were talking about like your background is accounting and then you went into sales and you were gonna be like a transaction coordinator. What you're doing wholesaling now, right?
Yeah, yep, that's it. I mean, basically when, David and I met, you spend the whole time at Squad Up Summit like, growing close to people that you stick around, but at the same time, even though you're hanging out with a couple people, everyone's meeting everyone, right?
Right.
So you get into these conversations where you hear, the person that you're hanging out with continuously introduce themselves. And so, my pitch was I can essentially help with all areas of the transaction. I can help you underwrite it, I can help you talk to the seller, and I can help you or I'll be your transaction coordinator. And yeah, whatever you need, I can help out with. And David's my business partner for people listening who don't know. His was, I have this real estate background and I'm just here to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so over the course of like the 3 days, and I've introduced myself to like 10 people and I'm explaining everything, at least 10 people. I'm explaining everything that I do. One day at breakfast, David's just like, or one of the guys that I met was like, it sounds like you should be a wholesaler. And then David's like, yeah, bro, why don't we wholesale together? And that was like, just so overwhelming because of how many times I've switched what I'm doing. Because I'm started in sub two, and then I moved to Gator, and then I moved to top tier because like I have these skill sets, but I couldn't find like what fit my personality.
Yeah.
Uh, but I realized that what I was really missing was the right business partner.
Yeah.
So that kind of provided clarity at Squad Up Summit of just like I can do any of these, but what's really like, something that's going to be the most worthwhile to me, and also who am I going to do it with?
Yeah. Now, as far as just getting the right business partner, like what are the skill sets that you feel like your partner has filled out that you were either missing or like what was the biggest thing that was a breakthrough from that perspective?
Yeah, so for me, I partnered with my brother. I partnered with and we tried wholesaling for a little bit,
Yeah.
probably like a year and a half ago. And then I had another partner that I did a flip on. And what I found from both the partners was I was trying to make it work. Of like, it takes, a special type of crazy to want to like work a ton
Yeah.
and to have these crazy dreams and being be willing to put stuff on the line. So then you have that piece of it of like, okay, well, you have to find someone who's just as committed as you because if it goes either way in the wrong direction, like if he's outworking me or if I'm outworking him, all that's going to do is create some sort of resentment, some sort of breakup with the partnership. Um, so, I could tell right off the bat that he was, just as committed as I was. But then even I would say the bigger thing is that he complemented all the skills that I have. In terms of like, my background's an accountant, and so I'm focused. I would see how companies were run. So I
Yeah.
understand I understand how companies are run. I understand what it takes from the integrator side, but I'm also kind of a visionary. Like that's my personality as well. So what I'm missing is I'm missing that person who's going to like break down the doors. Like cold calling naturally for me, like I don't want to do it. I really have to like every time I pick up the phone, I'm like, man, this isn't fun. But
Amp
when I'm
yourself
on
up
it,
for it a little bit ahead
yeah,
of time.
no,
It's like,
exactly.
this is my favorite thing to do it all. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm more of like the, relationships like this where it's like, let's build a long-term relationship. So maybe more of like agent outreach, but in terms of like calling sellers and stuff, that's not what I can do it, but it's not like something I love to do. I don't know how many people actually love to do it. And even closing, like I can
Yeah.
close, but it's not like I like get excited about solving this person's problem. And, someone like David, just to give an example, we stopped a are you familiar with what's it called? The redemption period in a foreclosure? Um,
Um, Vaguely.
so basically every state's different.
Yeah.
Um, so you have to look at your local laws, but when a house is auctioned off on foreclosure, some states have what they call a redemption period. So let's say, I lose my house and it's sold on auction for $200,000 in June.
Right.
Well, in some states, I have up to 6 months to go get $100,000, bring it back, and actually get my house back. So let's say you bought my house and you paid 100,000 for it. Well, your money would go into escrow, and you can't actually purchase the home until that redemption period's over. Well, David and I, we stopped a redemption period in Michigan when there was 3 days left. Like that, I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with mortgage companies, but in terms of like their speed, they're,
They're slow
twins
as molasses.
with the government. I mean,
Yeah.
they're right up there. But you know what got that deal done? Is David called over 20 times. All the people, like the person who's in charge, the person's boss, that person's boss, of like, hey, are you trying to take this house? Are you not going to let them even have an opportunity to save their house? And then,
Yeah.
where I came in was the back end of like researching the deed, finding out the lawyer that's involved in the sheriff sale, and like researching that. So like the combination of like boom, boom, we're throwing different punches, knocking different things out. At the same time, we both have this, um, this will to get it done, to do whatever it takes, but then also high ethics that we
Yeah.
try to follow.
Yeah.
So that's where it's kind of just like it feels like the stars aligned meeting each other, because what are the chances all three of those things line up?
Right. Yeah, and I see pretty commonly people will pair up with just the first person that comes across to them, and it I've never seen that work out well for anybody there. So that definitely is moving in the right direction. I guess from your guys' perspective, like what model are you guys actually going after? Right? It's just all direct to seller stuff, or
No, so it's actually so David had a lead actually at Squat Up Summit. He had I
okay,
don't know if you remember him talking about it, but he had a mobile home park
okay,
that he had been looking at for like a year and a half. And Pace made a comment like, you know, the person you need to meet to help you do, I forget the exact quote, but it was essentially like the person you need is in this room to get whatever deal you're working on done. So he spent most of Squad Up looking for a partner just for that deal, and he actually found partners. But when they left Squad Up, we were going to partner on the wholesale side of things, and then David was going to partner with them on the mobile home park, but they ended up bailing because it was out of state. So then that was when, I was like, David, like, let's still find a way to take this down.
yeah,
So we spent like the first couple months just really focused on that, also doing some PPL wholesaling. So we ended up buying that with the Pickels,
okay,
uh, but then also entertaining offers because we wanted to focus on wholesaling. So we ended up
right.
being bought out by the Pickels. So that was kind of just like a little side quest that, we
Not a
weren't.
bad side quest to go with.
No, it was an amazing side quest. I
Yeah,
mean, the amount of stuff that that I learned, and I feel like the credibility that brings of just, going through that process. But yeah, so we're right now, we're building out PPL, which is pay per lead,
Yeah.
for our inbound leads.
Okay.
We're also doing a form of LOI Blaster,
Okay.
which is agent outreach. And then the thing that we want to be known for is probate.
Okay.
So
That's all
right now,
relationship driven, right?
yeah, so
Yeah.
we're attacking it from a few fronts where, I'm setting up appointments right now with lawyers because I live in Arizona. We're focusing on Maricopa
Right.
County.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm essentially pitching them, but we're also going after, leads that are filed with the county. And we've already seen some success from that as well. Um, so yeah, it's really just building out the wholesale side of things, and then um, we have two fix and flips that are going on right now. And those were more like in small towns.
Yeah.
Hey, we could make, 12 to 18,000 on a wholesale fee, or we could triple that and flip it.
Right.
So it was just like, we don't have enough opportunities right now to be like, no, we won't take
Yeah, at that
that.
point, take the money. Yeah, and run with that. Well, you quit your full-time job because I think when you were at Squad Up, you were still working for like a construction company.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I had it set as a goal
Yeah.
in 2020, December 2024. I set my or 2023. I set my goal for 2024 to quit my job, and I had a timeline. I was going to be bonused out anywhere between August and October, and that's kind of like a huge not that's a huge portion of my pay, probably like
Right.
40%
Right.
um, coming from the bonus. So I wanted to have enough income to replace my salary by the time I got bonused out, which I did not reach. I mean, to be clear, like we didn't have a steady deal flow, but what we did have is we had, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I understand exactly what it takes to get these deals. What am I missing?
Yeah.
I'm missing the time. I see the proof is in the pudding, like we're doing it. It's more of just like, okay, do we have the structure and the time to get it done? So um it wasn't like I didn't replace my income.
Yeah.
I took a leap of faith for sure.
And as far as like your current business model, I know your LOI blaster, the probate leads, but then like from a standpoint of the PPL or PPC, I can't remember exactly what. Is that something that you're running yourself, or that's just like a new skill set that you're learning, or you're outsourcing it?
So PPL is pay per lead. So
Okay.
that's essentially like there are companies that create a marketing company where someone types in, like PPC, someone types
Right.
in, I want to sell my house fast. They
It's
fill
like a
out a
done
form.
for you
We buy that
PPC.
lead.
Yeah. Okay.
And then PPC is where you actually set up your own campaign, and it's way more expensive because you're committed. Like it depends on the market you're in, but we're focusing on Maricopa County. And if we wanted to set up PPC here, it'd be close to 10 grand a month,
Okay.
which we've heard in the first 6 months, like you're tweaking it and you're still spending 10 grand.
Right.
So you have to have that
You have to have a fair bit of
runway.
runway to go through and be able to burn through that for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Brent Daniels, he's very vocal about it. And he does it works very well. I mean, I know a couple people that do it that it works very well, but they're also like, doing over 1 million a year.
Yeah. What's been the most unexpected thing transitioning from kind of the W-2 world into the full-time real estate space?
I would say there was two things. One was, and this isn't necessarily what it's going to be for everyone, but for me, like, I want to set up a business that's scalable. That goes
Right.
against like everything Brent, Pace, and Jamil. They say like just make the calls. Who cares about your CRM? Who cares about like just get the revenue in? But I have enough of a nest egg to where I want to build it right. And if I don't make money for a few months, it is what it is. Um, so I would say it was a surprise for me how much work goes into non-revenue producing activities. Um, and then the second thing was realizing when I was on Pace's podcast, he, bluntly asked me, "Do you think a lot of the reason you felt like you didn't have time is maybe you had some creative avoidance?" And I kind of like shrugged it off of like, because I hadn't really thought too deeply into it. But what I'm figuring out is that, I really just wasn't good with my calendar.
Yeah.
It was like the main thing. I was allowing myself to be distracted. I did not like, I could probably do most of what I'm doing and still have my job. Do I
Yeah.
want to do that? No.
Probably
Do I
not.
regret quitting? No. But a lot of it was in my head in terms of like that I had to quit, that I couldn't do the things that, I couldn't work remote, which is a huge thing. Like,
Right.
I'm planning to spend a month in July working in Costa Rica. And there's no way I would have been able to do that
Not Puerto
at,
Rico.
no, not Puerto Rico. Maybe Puerto Rico one day, but it's during the high hurricane season, so
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Maybe not the time that you wanna be going
yeah.
down for that.
Yeah, so that was a big one of just like, no, dude, change your mindset. Like most things in our head are literally just in our head. Whatever wall or ceiling you think you have, it's not real.
Yeah.
That
What do
was,
you think helped you get over the mindset issues?
I mean, I'm still battling with them. Like I was thinking, like
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I mean, Pace, he made a comment of like, whatever your problems are they your problem or are they human problems? And I think, that mindset issue is a human problem. We all go through it. It's just a matter of how much time do you put on that. And it's easier said than done. For me, I would say the fact that, so I don't know if I told you this when we were in Orlando, but before, David didn't know that I signed up for Owners Club. I had joined with the intention of partnering up with him,
Yeah.
but he had no idea. And so I was on the phone with my wife because, the past 2 years, like we haven't even, I guess we bought one condo, but
Yeah.
I probably spent like 20 grand on education before I went to Squat Up. Maybe that's a little high. Maybe like 15 grand on education. And, I'm like, all right, Zoe, we're joining sub two. We're going to do the awesome. We're joining Gator. Like, I'm going to do all these deals. I'm joining top tier. Like, I feel like this is it. And then I'm on the phone with her again. And I'm like, hey, there's Owners Club. And, in her mind, it's like another thing. And I mean, she honestly just started crying on the phone, was
Yeah.
like worried
We're
about
spending
money.
all this money. Like, where is it going? Like, when do we see the return on this? Yeah.
100% because it's not like we've been really great with our money.
Yeah.
But most of the time when we had extra money, it was buying homes, not
Right.
just like pouring into education
That
where
may
we
or
are
may
seeing
not return.
results,
Yeah.
but it's not paying dollar for dollar yet. Um, so so yeah, that was a huge thing for me. I'm like mentally that was a switch of like, what are you doing? Like, are you gonna do this? Are you really gonna like you don't want to make a freaking phone call and hear your wife is worried about money? That was a huge switch for me where it was like, I mean, you're either gonna do this or not. Put your money where your mouth is or stop talking about it.
I distinctly remember coming back to the hotel room and like you got like a box or something whenever you joined Owners Club. I was like, oh, like I guess you joined. And I remember having this discussion with you. And he's like, yeah, like I talked to my wife a little bit and like she was hesitant on it, but I ended up joining. I was like, all right, well, good for you, dude.
Yeah,
I
what were your
yeah.
initial thoughts? Be honest.
Um I honestly had a little bit of FOMO. I'm definitely not as far along as you are from that perspective, but like the one thing I will say is I understand where your wife is coming from because I think there's so many online educators out there that like promise the world and it doesn't really deliver. The one thing I will say with Pace's stuff is like, yeah, it was another thing that he was upselling. Um, but I have, especially with sub two, less so Gator. Um, he's just over delivered so much on the education that I was like, all right, if he is creating another tier and he's trying to make it above sub two, like there's gonna be a lot that comes with that. And frankly, like I don't know that much about Owners Club because I haven't really looked much at it. Like what what have you guys done from the Owners Club perspective that's been different from sub two, or it's just sort of more focused?
It's very focused. So it's
Yeah,
like I would say a lot of it, is higher than where we're at right now, honestly. Like it's all about, you know, more of a focus from Pace, one, because he's putting, even though we're paying to be in it, he's putting such an interest in to us succeeding that the education is very directed on actionable items where
yeah,
it's way less, it's not even really about real estate. It's about how are you building this business to where you're going to be able to scale it, where you're going to build your brand, where you're going to be very successful and you're going to bring up the sub two community and be a leader in it. So I would just say it's not even about, I mean, it is about real estate, but the conferences we do are all about how to grow your business. It's not like some people are buying businesses, some people are doing co-living, some people are doing multifamily, RV parks, mobile home parks. So it's, and I would say the best thing about it is the connections because it's like when you go to Squat Up Summit, maybe it's like 1 out of 15, 1 out of 20 people have even done a deal. Maybe
right.
that's high. Sorry. I mean, that's low. Maybe,
Right,
maybe,
but people that are actively doing a lot of deals versus like I'm house hacking a duplex right now, but like yeah, I'm definitely not as far along as a lot of the people that are in sub two, much less the owners club stuff.
yeah. So like, yeah, you go to Squat Up, you'll talk out of 10 people you talk to, you'll talk to one or two that is doing more than 2 deals a month. Maybe it'll be one or two, and then there'll be there'll be a couple people that are doing a ton that you meet. Well, an owners club, it's like at least everyone is killing it in something.
Yeah,
Of like maybe they haven't like some people I don't think have done a ton of real estate, but they're very high level people who own businesses and who are, going the real estate direction and just building out that business. So it's still like an unbelievable connection. So I'm definitely joining again. It's 100% worth it.
and you said there's people that are buying businesses in that space too. I know sub two has gone a little bit into it, but like, what have you seen from that perspective? People are doing like roll ups or
I mean, I haven't personally like picked their brain about it, but they'll just be
yeah,
like, hey, like when we're talking like in groups, they'll be like, all right, I'm looking for this business or I'm looking for this business, but I haven't like got into a lot of them, like I said, own their own business and they're trying to make that more of like an automation
yeah,
and then pivoting more into whatever their Mount Everest is, which an owners club is basically like, how are you trying to make the biggest impact you can in the next 5 years? And also, how do you make money from it?
yeah,
Um, so so yeah, I wouldn't say like again, like he doesn't dive into one specific thing. It's not like we're sitting there like, hey, this is how you buy multifamily. It's
right,
like, no, like you're trying to build out whatever you're trying to build out. Here's the marketing campaign you need to do. Here's the how much you should be posting on social media. Here are the types of strategies. And so it's really like a high level accountability group, and also really just teaches you how to be. The goal is to be the owner of your business and not you know, a high paid employee for
right,
yourself.
right. I remember we were talking a little bit at Squat Up Summit that you felt some people close to you holding you back on the branding side. How's that been going?
Yeah. You know what's crazy is that again, I think a lot of that's in my head. Um, I've never, I mean, honestly, most of my life, I've never had someone say I couldn't do something. But at the same time, I almost have like this. Have you heard like the Michael Jordan story? Like I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but like the Michael Jordan story where like he just like makes up stories
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like it's not even like I feel like I have like I've done that a lot of my life of like, oh, they must be saying this, they must be saying this, which motivates me.
Yeah,
Um, but I found that like everyone, like my parents, they're like, are you sure you have a great job? Like, I mean, I was making more when I left, I was making more in the 10 months than I made when I was a CPA,
right.
like quite a bit more. And I just walked away from that. And so, of course, my parents were like, are you sure? Should you be doing that? You're about to have a kid. My father-in-law, rightfully a little concerned. But the crazy part is everyone in my family 100% backs me, at least to my face. Uh, but I still kind of feel like there's a few people from that I haven't even seen in years that for whatever reason I care what they think. And so I would say that I'm less concerned about like, people I've met and people who don't know me as like the people that I went to high school with or just random stuff where you're just
I
like, man,
resonate with that 100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
there's
like,
just
I don't
people that you
even,
run into from your past. I was like, I haven't spoken to you in 12 years, but like, you just give me this look and it's yeah, it's something that just from like an overall mindset perspective, like I think a lot of our challenges come up, like especially in high school, where you're just in this like little bubble. And like people do to a certain degree think of you in a certain way, but it's like it can almost be challenging with like family members to like when you grow in a certain direction, it just doesn't register in their head or they're very resistant to accept that something has changed.
yeah. Yeah, and I would say that I'm very blessed in the family aspect of like I said, I feel like everyone's on board, which I was honestly concerned about with a couple people and that they found out through Pace's podcast and I thought it was going to be a negative thing, but it was very positive and since then it's been nothing but support. Um, but I've also come to the conclusion I think it was Lewis Howes. No, man, I forget who said this, but someone said like no, no, it was Dan Martell. If if I saw them at the grocery store and I wouldn't even say hi, like I'm not going to be friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I've thought about that um, even as recent as yesterday because I went to a real estate event where Brent was like, "Hey, Brent Daniels, if you want a deal, if you want 4 deals a year in under 6 hours, go to your local real estate groups, add every single person and literally just post every day in a unique way
I
that you
buy
buy.
houses. Yeah.
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 But then I'm like, why wouldn't I do that? And then you think of those people and you're just like, why am I even friends with them on Facebook?
Yeah.
What am I trying to?
Yeah. What value are they adding to my life at this point, other than you're creeping on them a little bit, probably to a certain degree?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, most of the people like I haven't even spoken to in years or even been on their page or anything, but it's just like for whatever reason, you're just like holding on to the past of like, oh, I somehow need this approval.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna go through my Facebook friends and I'm gonna remove all the ones that like I wouldn't talk to in the store. And
The
even
real
the people
question
that I feel
here
like are
is
holding me
now that
back.
you've been in Owners Club for a little while and you're making some progress, now what are your wife's thoughts about you joining Owners Club? Is she fully supportive at this point?
She was never fully supportive. She never
Yeah.
told me not to do it.
Yeah.
She has always trusted me. Like she was just worried. I mean, worried
Yeah.
about money. And I mean, I think once she met David and once the mobile home park went through and like she's always been like, quit your job. Because I think she knows, I think there was a point in our marriage where she realized that I was never going to be that person who just went to work, came home, and, forgot about work.
Yeah.
So since then, like, she was like, why are you waiting to quit your job? Quit. Like, get your bonus and then, like, move on,
Yeah.
do
Move
it.
on.
So she's been nothing but super supportive. I'm in a really great situation.
What advice would you have for people who um, are in that stage that you were in, like right before Squat Up Summit, where you're like, yeah, like I want to move forward into the real estate space. I don't know what direction I should go. Like what, right? The partnership you said is a major aspect for you. Mindset seems like it's a big piece, but what other advice would you have to people?
I would say that like what ends up happening and why I got upsold so many times. Easy target, apparently. But what happens is, you're seeing the best of everything,
Yeah,
right? Like if I post if I post about the mobile home park, like you're like, "Oh man, he bought a mobile home park. I just met this guy and he didn't have a mobile home park and now he does."
yeah,
And so you might be like, "Well, he said it's easy. All I have to do is Google mobile home parks for sale in my neighbor or my area, go on LoopNet and I'll find one." And then so you start doing that and then you run into resistance and then you see another post where you're like, "Oh man, this guy just he did like 5 wraps. He's making $2,000 a month and he's doing nothing." Like, that sounds fun. And then you start doing the work there, but you never actually put enough time to have any success. And then the ultimate realization is none of the grunt work is fun.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the outcome's fun, but like, is it fun that I've been back and forth with this title company for 12 days with this probate deal, basically at battle with them? No, that's not fun,
yeah.
but it's going to be fun when we close. And the story is going to be awesome. I'm actually going to do a probate series on this deal that we're in the middle of, and I'm sure it'll sound cool, but in terms of like the actual work, it's not fun. But I find fun in the everyday aspects of my life around it. And now that I'm like living my purpose, it's become more fun, but it's still like I don't wake up and I'm like, man, I really want to, go call the Arizona Game and Fish Department to figure out how I get this boat title.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say the biggest thing is you can make money. Look around your office right now or anywhere you're at. Anything you do, you can make money. But what are you going to commit to? And as soon as you pick that thing, don't switch because
Yeah.
you'll make money. Once you're in a spot where you're making some money, then you can have choices. But first, you got to pick something.
Right. You got to start narrow with something, continue down that path for a little bit, and then over time, more opportunity appears.
Yeah, yeah. What fits your personality and just jump in with it. And at some point, you can definitely switch. There's like a common phrase where it's like I'm sure you've heard it, you need 7 streams of income.
Right.
Name one person who said that, who started out with 7 streams of income.
I don't actually know who said that. I've heard that phrase. I just
Everyone
don't.
says it.
That's fair.
But the fact is that every single person that's high level had one business that was really successful. And then at some point, they stepped out a little bit and then started doing all these other things. And now they have 7 streams.
Right. So I admittedly don't have the whatever upgraded version of Zoom is. So we're we're in the last 5 minutes here. Where do you need the most help in your business today?
I would say we're going to be raising money for some flips. We're only doing flips where it makes sense
Hmm.
and the returns are really high. Um, so possible PMLs, we've been funding our own deals right now, but I've been recording them really well. In terms of like, we created a YouTube video of the before, um, what we're projecting to make. We're gonna create a deal sheet of the after and a YouTube video, so it's like time stamped. Um, So I would say possible private money if people are interested in that. I am helping people dispo their deals. So I would say if anyone needs help underwriting or really any part of the deal, if you need help, can definitely help you out with that. But really, I would say the biggest thing is I just need to keep doing the thing, put my head down, and you get to a point where like one, planning is so important. The calendar is so important. And I'm planning to do like a calendar Zoom on really how to get your calendar in place so you're doing everything that's important. Because you should know if I work this many hours in this thing, you should know how much money you're going to make a month because it
Right.
really is just numbers.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I mean, overall, I just need to put in the work, I would say. How about you? What do you need? What are you up to?
So right now I finally have my first property. I'm house hacking this duplex, but it wasn't a creative purchase. It was just a traditional. But um, I mean, a lot of this interview was trying to figure out my focus a little bit more there. I've done a few private money deals, but starting to focus in a little bit more on that. I had a triplex deal that I was buying that fell apart because our PML basically backed out at the last second.
Mhm.
But now, like the same thing as you, I'm still very much finding my focus.
Okay. Well, yeah, man. I mean, outside of this, if there's any way that I can help or anyone who's watching this, I mean, reach out to me. We don't need to have a podcast to talk
100%.
strategy.
Where
Yeah.
can people find you? From like Instagram, YouTube, things like that.
Both of them are at Jared Morrison REI. I
Okay.
really have not done that, great of a job of utilizing them, but I do plan on, like I said, doing YouTube series on what I'm working on, trying to make it entertaining, but at the same time teaching. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I appreciate the time. Are you jumping on the Zoom here in 20 minutes?
What Zoom?
Family night,
Oh,
isn't it?
is it family night?
Yeah, it's Chris Voss coming, which ironically I just saw him last week for work. I was down in Florida and he was the guest speaker. But I
Did you
am
meet him?
looking forward to it.
Did you meet him?
No, I didn't get to meet him in person. He basically just gave his speech and went from there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Do you remember Voight?
Yeah.
Voight was the guy that I kept talking about that like was always not around when I was talking about him. But anyways, we're JVing with him on some